And all of a sudden, I couldn't see the word.
Malin only had good vision out of one eye. That vision was taken when she suffered a mini stroke on her optic nerve. By using technology that enlarged a sprint called a CCTV,
I pulled a college all-nighter and wrote a 10-page term paper.
You can come down and watch her excited about something that normally she should be excited about. It's great.
Thanks to the employees at Spirit of Halloween, the patients at Children's Hospital still get to have their holiday.
Fill in the blank. Classy in the front.
Party in the back.
How many hours a day do you spend blow drying your hair?
At least 3.
Should Adrian grow out the mullet now just to have that really good tight end quarterback connection?
Oh, I've been asking him to do that for a while now. Oh yeah.
From 3 News Now and the Omaha World-Herald, this is Omaha Sunday Morning with Jennifer Griswold.
Good morning and thanks for joining us this Sunday. A new development is in the works in Omaha. The Millwork Commons was unveiled this past week. It involves a few blocks north of TD Ameritrade Park. The $300 million project would be built from 11th to 14th Streets between Izard and Seward. 3 News Now reporter Megan Hahn was there as developers officially launched their plan to make Millwork Commons a neighborhood for tech companies, startups, and nonprofits.
Well over a century old, these bricks that were once a factory are now becoming the foundation of a new development in North Downtown, named Millwork Commons for its past.
I think this is one of the treasures that we have in this city, is this area with these historic buildings.
The sprawling 6-block community in the old industrial area of downtown will have office space, housing, retail, and entertainment. The neighborhood's anchor tenant, Flywheel, will make the historic Ashton building its new headquarters.
Omaha is our home. We grew up here. We started 6 years ago, 3 of us, right across the street at the Mastercraft, and so we're excited to sort of plant ourselves here, headquarters in North Downtown.
Flywheel is an Omaha-based technology company that employs more than 200 people. Wednesday, employees got a glimpse of what will be their new headquarters.
Nobody wants an empty warehouse, but when you can change that into something that's really great for the community, that's always a good thing.
The project's developer, Black Dog Management, says the community will attract tech companies and startups to the area.
We saw some real potential because there's some great historic buildings. But it's really a tough area, really kind of a blighted area. So what we thought we needed to do in this area was do something that was transformative to a neighborhood.
Connecting the neighborhood's industrial roots to the 21st century with a bang.
The City of Omaha plans to support the development area by adding streets and rerouting some of the industrial truck traffic. The development will also receive tax increment financing. The Omaha City Council approved a rezoning permit to allow the Sienna Francis House to expand. The expansion would shelter 100 women and 350 men each night. Neighbors are concerned and say fights and thefts are common around the shelter. Omaha City Council President Ben Gray says security has to be handled better. The Sienna Francis House issued a statement saying, quote, "We will continue to partner with our neighbors, law enforcement, city officials, and others to provide viable solutions to any problems." It was a reunion 1 year in the making. A congresswoman came to Omaha not seeking votes, but instead to see her friends and constituents, their lives, homes, and families uprooted by a hurricane. We have followed the plight of roughly 50 Puerto Ricans who arrived pretty much as refugees and were there as Puerto Rico's only congresswoman came for a special visit.
A little more than a year after Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico, Congresswoman Jennifer Gonzalez, the only delegate from the island, visited Omaha to meet local Puerto Ricans, even running into old friends.
I went to high school with one of the people that I met today in the morning.
Along with her colleague, Congressman Don Bacon, she toured South Omaha, speaking to local Hispanic businesses and meeting with hurricane victims who were forced to relocate.
Big opportunity to discuss what's going on in terms of the recovery process on the island.
I mean, the airport was devastated, the port was devastated, all the power lines were down, and they've been Americans since 1898. So we had an obligation to go in there and treat them like our brothers and sisters.
While touring the Boys and Girls Club in South Omaha, they also met some Puerto Rican kids who were impacted by the storm.
I've heard it from my own kids that come here that are Puerto Rican, and they have been affected firsthand by it. We do have kids that came after. We do have kids that have family over there that were affected, and to see them not being able to talk to their families for months was really hard.
Gonzalez and Bacon said they heard concerns that hurricane transplants still face here in Nebraska.
We're telling me about some of the experience of the people that moved after the hurricane. Most of them nurses or professionals with a license, and they were asking how to get their license here, how to make things happen in terms of local requirements.
Congresswoman Gonzalez has limited voting privileges since Puerto Rico is a territory, not a state. So when she needed support for Hurricane Maria relief aid, she relied on the help of Congressman Don Bacon. She says she wanted to come visit his district as a thank you for his help. Now to a touching tribute in South Omaha for an Iowa veteran who died serving our country. Private First Class Michael Heller died in combat in 1970 during the Vietnam War. The Dunlap, Iowa native died just before his 20th birthday. Now, decades later, the Nebraska chapter of the group Honor and Remember is keeping his memory alive. This week, they presented Heller's siblings with a memorial flag. His brother also served overseas in Germany and says this is an honor.
This is really something. We appreciate it very much. You just can't imagine what it feels like to go through something like this and accept this stuff. And he was a good kid.
Heller's medals, including his Purple Heart, were also on display for friends and family to see. It's not even Halloween, and we've already dealt with our first snowfall of the year. And this time, drivers may have noticed a problem on the road. Streetlights covered with snow. We'll explain the problem coming up next on Omaha Sunday Morning. City crews had their hands full last Sunday plowing roads and clearing debris after heavy damp snow hit the area. Crews also had the unusual task of clearing snow off streetlights, which is a relatively new problem for the city. 3 News Now reporter John Kipper explains why the lights now require a little extra attention.
It's really hard to see. I couldn't really tell if it was a green light, a red light, yellow light.
A wet, heavy snow blanketed Omaha on Sunday, making the streets slick and clogging some north-facing stoplights.
If the wind is driven at the right angle and it's wet enough, it will stick.
It made it very dangerous for most drivers, including myself. I mean, you don't know when to stop, you don't know when to go.
The city of Omaha switched to LED traffic lights several years ago. While the cost to power the lights has gone down, the LED lights have caused a few headaches for the city.
The LEDs don't generate enough heat to melt off the snow. So we have to go out and physically do it. We have to get up in boom trucks and take brooms and wipe them off.
Assistant Public Works Director Todd Fitzer says the problem is virtually unavoidable, and crews were sent out to clear the lights Sunday.
It could happen 10 times this year and not happen for a decade. Nobody knows. It's like a 100-year flood. We can't predict what year it's going to happen. We just know it's going to happen once in a while.
So what should a driver do if they encounter a snow-covered light? Treat it like a four-way stop.
If you can't see the indications, you need to stop, look both directions, and proceed when it's safe.
City officials also say that cleaning out the snow-clogged lights can be dangerous for city crews, and they tell us there is a heating device that would alleviate the problem, but the cost of the heater would wipe out the city's savings by using LED lights. In just over 2 weeks, voters will head to the polls and decide whether they want to keep Congressman Don Bacon or move Kara Eastman into the position. Next, we look at each candidate, where they stand on the issues, and why each believes he or she is the right person for the job. That's ahead on Omaha Sunday Morning. The midterm election is just 2 weeks away. The key race in Omaha is for Congress. Democrats are hoping to flip the seat from red to blue and retake control of the House. But Congressman Don Bacon is aiming to win another term. 3 News Now anchor Craig Negrelli sat down with both candidates ahead of the debate we hosted with the Omaha World-Herald this past week. We start now with the Republican incumbent.
Well, thank you for doing this. Good to see you. I'll walk you in if that's okay.
Congressman Don Bacon is optimistic. He believes he's on the way to winning a second term, but he insists he's taking nothing for granted.
And now we went from President Obama to President Trump, and the environment's just different. There's more anger. There's more of that vitriol and rancor, and I really think that is an issue.
Bacon says he has heard it from constituents that Washington is broken, but the incumbent Republican says he has been part of the solution.
I think the first one is the successes that we have. We have the best economy in 50 years, the lowest unemployment in 49 years. When we came in, we had an economic growth of 1.2%. Now it's 4.2%.
As for what he expects at the debate,
as Nebraska 02's representative, I want to make sure I'm setting the example. I will debate passionately, but I want to disagree agreeably and have just a good conversation.
And the retired Air Force Brigadier General has a list of what he wants to work on if voters re-elect him.
But we have some serious issues to solve. Healthcare, immigration, workforce reforms, getting people back to work that are out of the workforce, even in a time of record unemployment. And I would just ask them, do you want a moderate conservative perspective, Midwestern values, solving these problems, or do you want a more democratic socialist?
Real Clear Politics has the race as leans Republican, but Democratic challenger Cara Eastman is not deterred. Now to her one-on-one with Craig.
Hi, Cara.
Hi,
how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you for coming in.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure.
Cara Eastman believes momentum is on her side. Coming off a primary victory in May, Eastman says her grassroots campaign is connecting with the people she talks with on the trail.
There are so many people that are still struggling, and those are the people that are looking for a voice in Congress.
And there is one issue the Democratic challenger thinks is a winner for her, both in her television ads and, more importantly, on Election Day.
The number one issue that we hear people talk about at the doors is health care. There are a number of people in our district who are struggling, and the story about my mom and her outrageous prescription drug costs is resonating with people in the district.
The founder of the Omaha Healthy Kids Alliance and Metro Community College board member told me her campaign has knocked on 120,000 doors in the Omaha area. Eastman is hoping to flip District 2 from Republican to Democrat. She says people constantly tell her Washington is broken and it's time for change.
I think that right now people are so frustrated. They're frustrated with the political system, they're frustrated with Congress and its ineffectiveness.
What are you hoping to accomplish at the debate?
I'm excited about the debate because it gives me a great opportunity just to show the policy differences between myself and my opponent, and to show people that we are different people and the way that we believe that leaders should act in Congress.
Both candidates debated the issues at our debate with the Omaha World-Herald. You can find their answers to questions on immigration, tax reform, and much more on our website, 3newsnow.com. We've all heard it, every vote counts, but one Iowa woman is on a mission to make sure everyone gets a reminder before Election Day. How the 92-year-old spends her afternoons in hopes of getting people to the polls. Election season is around the corner, and one woman in Iowa is making sure others know it is time to vote. Mary Rose Brown is 92 years old and spends every day writing letters by hand to people all over the country. Her goal is to get folks to the polls, and she wants people to realize their vote does count. Erica Rankin reports.
As time winds down to Election Day,
quite worried listening to you.
And you're telling everybody what they want to hear.
Mary Rose Brown works diligently in Apartment 10 to write personal letters to voters.
This is something I can do. I have time, and I can still write.
And with a background in the political world,
I've always been involved in the voting procedure. I've always gone out getting absentee ballots.
Brown wants others to know how important each vote is.
Your vote has to count. If you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain.
Because she feels that vote can create a change.
They just need somebody to give them a little extra push.
So she spends time every day handwriting letters.
I can do about 50 a day.
Purposely picking colors for certain words to grab people's attention.
I always use vote in red. whenever I write the word vote.
So far, Mary has sent over 700 letters.
October 3, 100, October 4, 50.
All in hopes to achieve one goal.
If I can convince any of them that their vote will count, then I'm going to be happy.
Love her commitment, just great to see. A special group of girls at Bennington High School is using service to build confidence and learn life skills. We'll introduce you to the Bennington Brew Crew and tell you how a simple act of kindness has changed their outlook on a day at school. Starting out the morning with a hot cup of coffee is part of the routine at Bennington High School, but it's much more than coffee. A special group of girls at the school is learning life skills. 3 News Now reporter Alexa Ray takes us in the classroom with the Bennington Brew Crew.
Every day at Bennington High School starts with a fresh cup of coffee, personally delivered by the Bennington Brew Crew. The 3 girls in this club are part of a life skills class for special education students.
We needed to find something that would help the girls really develop some great skills.
Teachers Mindy Andrus and Jamie Schleifer came up with the Brew Crew to not only teach the girls how to make and serve coffee, but how to more confidently interact with other teachers.
I think most of them probably could make coffee on their own, but getting to interact with the girls and see what they do, they really enjoy that too.
And the teachers enjoy the daily interactions.
Thank you, Ashley. You're welcome.
As much as the girls do.
I like to see people smile, to see them see their faces when we give them to them.
This program has done a lot more for the girls than the teachers ever hoped. For 10th grader Ashlyn Chouse, joining the club made coming to school easier.
The first year I was kind of sad because I was going to not go to the junior year next year, and I started crying over the year, and then I got together Miss Finken to talk about it.
From the beginning of the year to now, this program has helped all the girls to grow.
I've seen a lot of confidence in the girls. I've seen their confidence grow. They're so happy and they have a lot of fun with it.
But they aren't the only ones benefiting.
It makes my day easier. When they come ready to go and they're excited about it, it makes me excited about working here.
In the classroom, Alexa Ray, 3 News Now.
The Bennington Brew Crew says they were pleasantly surprised at the amount of coffee orders they have received each day. They serve about 30 teachers every morning. It's a rare but scary illness that causes polio-like symptoms among children. Now Douglas County health officials are working to determine a possible case of AFM here. What you need to know about the illness and symptoms to keep an eye out for when Omaha Sunday Morning continues. It is a sickness making national headlines. Now the Douglas County Health Department says there might be a case of AFM in the Omaha area. AFM stands for acute flaccid myelitis. Symptoms include weakness in the arms and legs. So far, the polio-like illness has struck more than 100 people. 3 News Now reporter John Kipper talked with local health officials on what makes it so dangerous.
The Center for Disease Control has recently told doctors and local health departments to alert the public about acute flaccid myelitis, or AFM.
We think it is probably an infection because it appears to be spreading from person to person.
UNMC Dr. Carrie Simonson says plenty of research needs to be done on AFM, but they do know the illness has appeared every other year and that it mimics the pattern of enteroviruses.
That's the same family from which the polioviruses were from historically. And the features of AFM are a bit like polio, although not caused by polioviruses in particular.
It's an illness that especially targets children, with the average age of just 4 years old. Douglas County has reported 1 suspected case involving a young child. That diagnosis is currently being investigated by the CDC. Douglas County Health Department spokesman Phil Rooney says there's one thing in particular to look out for.
I think it's very important for the public to know that it is extremely rare. If you do have it, it can be extremely serious. So if you have a child who is showing signs of weakness in the limbs, they should probably go see a doctor immediately.
Researchers are trying to gather more facts about the illness and how to cure it.
I think parents most often want to know what that long-term outcome looks like for their kid. And for me, I think the most important thing for us to find out more about is more of a complete picture of what this illness looks like in the long term for all patients.
Several other states have confirmed at least 1 case of AFM, including Iowa. AFM symptoms and signs include fever, headaches, and the most common sudden arm or leg weakness. If your child presents any of these, take them to a doctor immediately. Some people are indirectly affected by it. Some people have thought about doing it, and some people have attempted it. Some people have done it. We are talking about suicide. It's a serious issue in the world linked to a number of causes such as depression, stress, and mental illness. It's also what brought more than 200 people through the doors of a Benson tattoo shop during Suicide Prevention Month in September for a small tattoo with a big meaning, and the appointments are still pouring in. Omaha World-Herald visual journalist Brendan Sullivan has the stories behind the semicolon.
People need to understand it's okay to not be okay.
I have actually been hospitalized for attempting suicide.
It's such a stigma. We all have to be tough and have rough skin and all of these things, and we don't. We aren't like that. We're people, and we hurt, and we have sadness, and it's okay to talk about being sad.
One time I was in a situation that I couldn't get out of, and I just gave up.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
That 2 seconds that it takes where you take a bunch of pills or you shoot, you know, you fire a gun, people say that's the bravest moment, but it's not. It's not. The bravest moment is saying, I need help.
And I've done the semicolons next to people's suicide attempt scars. And
came about from what's nationally known as the Semicolon Project. And it's to show that my story doesn't end here. It doesn't end with a period. Semicolon. There's more to tell.
You know, life's too short, so might as well live it to the fullest. I know, like, sometimes life gets kind of rough sometimes. I've had friends go down dark paths, so for me, it's just like kind of like a sunlight. You know, shine on light. Don't think of the end. Think of the next turn of the light.
Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the country. And here locally, for kids ages 10 to 14, it's the 2nd leading cause of death. And that's both Nebraska and in Iowa.
We had no idea she was struggling. We had, you know, I mean, we thought she was a happy-go-lucky mom. I mean, she had these beautiful pictures of her children smiling. She dropped them off at school. We had no clue she was having any struggles whatsoever.
There's just been such a stigma attached to that, about talking about, I am not feeling good today.
I feel like if other people knew that they weren't alone, that maybe the semicolon on somebody they would see that and know that they're not alone. I dealt with it for my whole life. I mean, it's kind of like, it seems like now I'm realizing that pretty much everybody's been through it at least a little bit, or if they haven't been through it that close themselves, you know somebody that has, and you just don't even know it.
The semicolon is to remind me that you can get over the hump. My daughter and my husband was not there for me. I probably would not be here. But they stuck by me and helped me through all the hard times. And honestly, I don't think if it was for them there, I really wouldn't be standing here today.
Everybody's different. A lot of people, it's just emotional pain. A lot of people I've talked to, it's cutters. They can't feel unless they hurt, so it gets them through it. A lot of them use the tattooing as a kind of way to get through that, and that helps them to get through it.
For my whole life, suffered from depression, anxiety, and have attempted suicide in my past before. So, you know, I've come to a state in my life where I'm growing and healing and doing better things in my life, and it just is a reminder to always just take a moment and breathe and keep on going and figure out what's next.
We've been taking probably 15 to 20 appointments a day since then, so I would say I've probably, by the end of it, it'll be at least 200.
Aww, so proud.
Hopefully that'll help them keep writing their story, and if somebody else sees it on them and need somebody to talk to, that they would be willing to be that person.
Go ahead, check it out. Show everybody. You survived.
Everybody struggles with it. We all have days where we struggle. We've all had moments where we struggle. We know people, we've loved people, we've lost people. And talk to us. Just let us know you need help, because any one of us would have picked up the phone that day. Any one of us, if she'd have just called and said, I need help, we would have been there.
Again, the semicolon tattoos cost $20. All of the money from the tattoos was donated by the tattoo artist to the Nebraska chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It is a childhood tradition for so many, picking out the perfect costume and mask, mapping out the best neighborhood route, and patiently waiting for Halloween night to collect that loot of candy. But for sick children, that night out is often just not possible, but that doesn't mean they have to miss out. Halloween, costumes, candy, and fun for kids, but what if they can't go out? Thanks to the employees at Spirit of Halloween, the patients at Children's Hospital still get to have their holiday.
It gives some normalcy. It lets the kids celebrate Halloween, while they're in the hospital, and seeing them smile makes all this worth it. It's incredible.
Kennedy Bainbridge was healthy a week ago. Now she finds herself hospitalized at Children's with lupus. Her mom says it's been a tough week for Kennedy and her family, but says events like this one bring a little normalcy back to their lives.
Just when you sit in a room all day long and then you can come down and watch her excited about something that normally she should be excited about, it's great.
Cohen Schuler is just at Children's for a regular appointment, but his mom says she loves walking in and seeing all the effort being done to make the day special.
It's pretty amazing, actually, to see that there's donated costumes, tons of crafts. It's awesome, really awesome. It's made a lot of the kids' days, you can tell, with all the smiles on their faces.
Bringing smiles and a little bit of home to the patients and their families.
I think it's amazing what they do. The fact that they can lighten anything you're going through at least a little bit for the moment, for the hour.
Pretty special. Spirit Halloween has 1,300 stores that collect money and costume donations to put on events like this one. They will help 92 hospitals hold Halloween parties this year. The gift of sight is something many of us take for granted, but one woman knows just how hard life can be if you cannot see clearly. A local vision center helped her overcome some of her most challenging obstacles. When Omaha Sunday Morning continues. Low vision centers are scarce commodities, but Omaha is home to one of the few that is thriving. Not only has the staff size doubled since it opened, it recently celebrated 10 years of service. Anchor Emily Zink shows us what makes the Weigel-Williamson Visual Rehabilitation Center so successful.
We can't help everyone, but we can help a lot of people.
This 4,500 square foot low vision house located on the campus of UNMC is one of the only ones in the country.
They can get ideas of what they can do in their own kitchen by looking at what we've done here.
Throughout the house, you'll find a number of low vision adaptations.
You would think at a desk, but would you think it in your kitchen?
Dr. John Shepard and his team of occupational therapists at the Weigel-Williamson Center for Visual Rehabilitation work with patients who have visual impairments that can't be corrected with glasses, medical treatment, or surgery. Things like macular degeneration and glaucoma.
When you are unable to see to do day-to-day things, it causes a lot of frustration. It's difficult to read. It's difficult to see the television.
Shepard says individuals with low vision have a greater chance of becoming depressed, but the center aims to prevent that and works to educate and empower.
So these are a variety of non-optical aids.
From special notebooks to talking clocks.
It is 8:23 a.m.
The center shows folks there are many resources to help those living with visual impairments participate in daily life. Just ask Harriet Mullen.
Weigel gave me hope.
Mullen's life changed in a split second back in May of 2009 while at Mass.
So I was just singing along, and all of a sudden, I couldn't see the words.
Mullen only had good vision out of one eye. That vision was taken when she suffered a mini stroke on her optic nerve.
At that point, it was painful to look at print, to read. I, couldn't do that.
When the stroke happened, Malin was in her 70s and just 3 credits shy of graduating. After raising 7 kids, she took her time and spent 17 years in college. The Weigel Williamson Center showed her by using what was once considered her bad eye and technology that enlarges print called a CCTV, she could still earn her degree.
I pulled a college all-nighter and wrote a 10-page term paper.
Malin walked across the stage at Creighton in January of 2009.
10-year milestone haiku.
Recently, Malin attended the center's 10-year anniversary and thanked them for giving her hope with a Japanese poem she learned how to write during a workshop at Weigel.
God send in my life with heartfelt gratitude, Harriet Malin.
The center says the best way to know if they can help you is by setting up an appointment. In a black hooded monk's robe, a large cross dangling from his neck, Brother James Dowd walks the streets of North Omaha. He knocks on doors to meet his neighbors. He speaks at neighborhood association meetings, and he spends several hours a day praying about how to make a difference in a sometimes misunderstood area. Dowd, a man who once worked in TV, is the founder of an Episcopal monastery and Benedictine community that opened near Miller Park in July. And as Brendan Sullivan shows us, he's already yielding results.
O God, make haste to help us. Glory to the holy and undivided Trinity, one God.
When the first monks started living in the desert, they thought, well, we want to do it the way Jesus did it. And so that's what this is. This is really a way to connect with Jesus through the scripture and through the practice that he would have engaged in a very similar way.
The grace of our Savior Jesus Christ and the love of God and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore.
Being a monk is the most freeing, loving thing I could possibly be. And I've done a lot of things in my life. And when I finally realized this was really the call, I thought, I can't believe how lucky I am that I get to do this. The basis of what we do is 2 things. It's to pray throughout the day, which feels like total freedom to me, to go to the being that loves me the most every day, several times a day, to pray. And then to serve the people who come to our door.
Like before going to seminary and before embarking on that kind of ministry, I thought it was really important that I spend this time in prayer and this discernment. And then from a larger perspective, I just feel called to serve, and I love living in community.
Benedict said that a monastery will always have guests because those 2 types of people seeking God, in either the spiritual realm or in the physical realm, where they need help because they're hungry or they need shelter or they need clothing or whatever it is. And sure enough, we have only been officially open now about 3 weeks, and both pilgrims and poor come to this door, people we know and people who we've never met before until we moved here. A lot of our tradition has kind of been lost in an age that doesn't particularly value religion, but also in an era in which much of the church, and here I'm talking about across the board, not a specific church or denomination, but much of the church has just caused all kinds of scandal. And it seems to me that monasticism brings us back to the absolute core. You pray, you serve the poor. That's Jesus' message. And if we can teach that tradition to our young adults, they're going to inherit that very important tradition and help make the world a better place. It's not that, we don't have a sense of let's save the entire world. That's God's business, right? But what we do have a sense of is that we're supposed to really work to help our neighbor, love our neighbor as ourselves. And so passing some of that on is a really big thing. All of the years I've had as a monk sort of led me to this point where I can say, this is what I want to give back to God and to God's people, because God gave me so much.
To bless this food to our use and us to your service in Christ our Lord.
Amen. Great, enjoy it.
For Dowd, this life came after a successful career as a New York City theater and television director and producer. He loved what he was doing, but he felt a calling to do something else. Distracted driving is a major problem we all deal with here in the Omaha area, and we know it can come with deadly consequences. But what can we do to combat it? When Omaha Sunday Morning continues, we look at some of the penalties in place for those caught texting behind the wheel in our Safe Roads Now report. And on this Sunday, a look at what's happening this week in Omaha. This week is all about celebrating Halloween, from the Cobweb Castle at the Omaha Children's Museum to Baseball-oween with the Storm Chasers. There are a number of events to choose from. Omaha police are getting in on the action too. The Southeast Precinct is hosting a haunted precinct on Saturday from 5 till 8. Families can stop by for games, dancing, a bounce house, tricks and treats, and more. You can even get a free flu shot at the event. For more information on these events and many more this week, take a look at the community calendar on omaha.com. Pick up your cell phone to answer a text. Reach down to change the radio dial. In an instant, distracted driving can change a person's life. Those crashes can also have a big impact on your wallet, whether you're at fault for the crash or not. As we continue our Safe Roads Now initiative, Megan Hahn looks at how crashes can impact your insurance rates as we push to end distracted driving on Omaha roads.
Each day, 1.4 million licensed drivers in Nebraska have the potential to be on the road. With so many drivers, there's a possibility of life-altering errors behind the wheel. According to data from the Nebraska Department of Transportation, in 2017, 19 people were killed and more than 1,500 injured in crashes involving distracted driving.
I'm on the road a lot, so it concerns me when I see people looking on their cell phones rather than watching the road. I could probably not go 5 miles and not see somebody doing it.
In Nebraska, texting while driving is a secondary offense, but aside from having to pay a fine, being ticketed for distracted driving could cause your auto insurance premiums to increase by an average of 16%, or about $226 per year.
You can get one and your rate's going to go up. Again, you can, they're going to surcharge you. It could also impact, if you do have it packaged with your home and your auto, it could impact that home rate, because if they cancel your auto, then the home rate's going to go up when you lose that multi-policy.
Being involved in a car crash caused by distracted driving is also going to cost you, whether you're at fault or not. Insurance companies evaluate customers by tiers, depending on age, sex, zip code, driving history, and even credit score.
A not at fault accident can keep you out of that higher tier, even though it wasn't your fault, but yet you still want to report that.
More insurance companies are penalizing drivers for distracted driving. By the end of 2017, insurers in all states penalized distracted driving, whereas 10 did in 2011. And if a distracted driving ticket or crash is on a driving record, insurance companies will have access to that information for the next 3 to 5 years.
Clean records will get you the most bang for your buck.
For Safe Roads Now, I'm Megan Hahn, 3 News Now.
Insurance rates are based on statistics, but there are some smartphone apps that will personalize your driving experience and offer rewards for putting down the phone and avoiding distracted driving. You can learn more about this app by visiting 3newsnow.com/saferoads. And we want to hear from you. Tell us how distracted drivers are affecting you. You can email us at saferoads@3newsnow.com or visit our website, 3newsnow.com/saferoads. Still ahead, it's time for a Husker player to sit down with sports reporter Phil Bergman as he gets serious about all things hair in this week's Fill in the Blank. It is that time again. Time to put a Husker in the hot seat with sports reporter Phil Bergman. This week, tight end Jack Stoll played along before the Minnesota game, talking big plays, nice teammates, and hair care. And he's even inspired Phil to try out a new style.
Hey Jack, thanks for joining me. Wait, I think we're missing something. Hey Jack, nice hair.
Appreciate it. I like yours too, man.
Fill in the blank. Classy in the front.
Party in the back.
How many hours a day do you spend blow drying your hair?
At least 3.
Do you condition your hair?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day, you have to.
Rinse, wash, repeat?
It wouldn't be a mullet without it, absolutely.
What's your nickname for your hair?
I don't think we take it that far.
Favorite celebrity mullet?
Ooh, Billy Ray Cyrus.
How long will you let your locks grow out?
You know, I used to say it was until the end of the season, but I don't know. It'll be tough kind of saying goodbye to him, so we'll kind of see, play that one by ear.
Have you heard of the term Minnesota nice?
Minnesota nice, I have not, no.
Who is the nicest guy on the team, you think?
Nice, I'm going to give that to Tanner Farmer.
That Wisconsin touchdown, did you literally rip the ball out of that guy's hands?
You know, I just went up, you know, Adrian put the ball in one place I can make a play, and, you know, I just got to give credit to him, really.
Should Adrian grow out the mullet now just to have that really good tight end quarterback connection?
Oh, I've been asking him to do that for a while now. Oh yeah, hopefully he'll listen to me one of these days.
Jack, I think you have my hair beat, but thank you so much for joining me, and this is
Fill in the blanks.
I'm not sure where he got that wig, but I think he should wear it all the time. Well, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching Omaha Sunday Morning. We'll see you back here next week.